Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the series Golds of Game Pass. Today we're going to review Greedfall. So what is Greedfall? Honestly, this is a Witcher game that isn't a Witcher game. It is a really fantastic game in my opinion. Basically, the whole story about it is, you're in Serene, which is the old kingdom. You're there, the old city where you start out in. Then you discovered a new island with a lot of potential, etc., etc., etc. So you go there, which is called New Serene, right? Very original. But there's a lot of political, a lot of religious, a lot of factions playing over this island, and you're fighting through monsters. You're fighting through different factions. You have to make a decision here or there, and it very much plays like a Witcher game. The combat is okay-ish. I really did like that. The combat is very fun to play around it. The powers you have that you obtain, just like The Witcher, But the difference between The Witcher and here is that you have a firearm. You do have guns in here. This is a flintlock fantasy world. So it is fucking amazing. It is phenomenal. Like, you could just tell how from how I'm doing this review. It is really fucking good. I did not believe I was gonna like it. I really do not like those really long fantasy game. Like, I do like them. I do like Skyrim. I do like The Witcher, but it's just a little bit too much for me because it's just so much to do, and it gets overwhelming at times, and you know exactly what I mean. But Greedfall is not that. Greedfall is a story about discovering this new island, right? Discovering its secrets, its mysteries, and trying to find a cure for a plague that is ravaging the old kingdom. You're trying to find that cure. That's the general, let's say, goal per se, which it really isn't. There's a lot more things going on, but that's one of them, right? So you're here, you're trying to discover this whole new world, everything else, and you're tasked with different factions, to do different things. You have different types of missions, and at no point did I feel overwhelmed, except probably when you first land in the new island. But besides that, it was very not standard, because there were some plots, some little twists here and there that really made it just stand out, that made it pop. There was never a moment in the story where I was like, "Oh, I know exactly where all of this is gonna go." No, there were some pretty good twists in there. You have some really great dialogue. The dialogue, I feel, is a little bit generic in some aspects, but it does have a lot of options with the dialogue, a lot of charismas, a lot of ways, a lot of routes you could go to. And each mission typically has different styles of handling it. You could go stealthily, you could go fucking guns and blades blazing, if that makes sense. You could do a lot of different things here, right? You could even try different tactics, see if it works. You want to go magic oriented, melee weapon oriented, fucking weapon oriented. It's all up to you. It definitely plays to you. You can even go trap oriented, because you have traps in here. But this game, really, it is such a good game. I don't want to give too much in lore aspects. Just what I said I think should be enough, because I want you guys to discover this fucking rich world. I feel saddened that it did not get as much love as it did. I will probably make another video on that as to why I think it failed. But honestly, if you like The Witcher, or Witcher type games, this is definitely the game for you. The difference between this one and any Witcher game is that this will not be overwhelming. This, you could definitely finish it, obviously not 100% unless you're going for that, but you could definitely finish it, and you'll feel satisfied at the end. Unlike The Witcher, where it just eventually just feels like non-stop quest and quest and quest. But this game really does, like, after you finish it, you'll feel like, wow, that was such a journey from beginning to end. It's a really good game. You're looking at maybe 20 to 40 hours, depending on how fast you're doing some shit. If you're just doing main missions, you're looking at 20 hours. But come on, what kind of idiot only plays the main missions? You gotta do side missions too. Overall, you're looking like at 40 to 50 hours. I recommend playing this on a harder difficulty. Do not do normal, because that is for bitches. So yeah, definitely do a harder difficulty. This game is phenomenal, guys. I will get into later on. I will get into some critiques that I did have, because it did have some problems here and there. It did obviously have some problems. But yeah, overall, definitely pick up Greedfall. It is, if you love Witcher, you're gonna love this game. Trust me. So what makes this game really fun to play? Honestly, this is a great RPG. You could definitely tell it took its inspirations from Witcher, from BioWare before the whole mess happened. It's just a fantastic RPG. Really, it has some problems. I will talk about that later. But overall, you have a great combat system. The crafting is pretty good. The one thing that isn't good, that isn't strong, is the stealth. Stealth isn't its strong suit, but overall, everything else is pretty fun. I really do enjoy the pairing, the blocking, the different styles of combat that you can mix and match, and you can have so much fun with. Really, there are many ways to engage a fight or many ways to solve a situation, and I really do love that. Really, this game is just phenomenal in the combat sense. It does have some problems that it might get a little bit too at the start. I want to say it's very simplistic because it's just starting out. You don't have a lot of abilities, a lot of moves yet. But once the game starts going, when you start leveling up, it really gets very intense. You could very much combine a lot of elements, and you'll be fighting each fight very differently than the last. It'll never get repetitive in that sense. You do have a lot of ways to solve some situations, and that's just phenomenal. Now the story, I think, is another aspect that really makes it fun. Just diving into this lore, this whole world that they made, is just incredible. It does stick a little bit too much to traditional RPG mechanics, so there is that. But overall, it still, defines itself with this flintlock fantasy world that you have, where it doesn't feel the same as other RPGs. Most RPGs were stuck in the we're stuck with arrows and fucking arrows, swords, knives, etc., etc., etc. Some magic here and there. But this game introduces the guns, the traps, the magic, the swords very uniquely, that it just does not feel like most RPGs. Some people have said, yes, it just feels like a standard RPG. I, in my personal opinion, had a lot of fun. It's very fun. You'll get lost within this world very quickly. I enjoy it. I really do fucking enjoy playing this game. You have companions that are always with you too, which is another great element to this. You have two companions that are always with you. Each one of them has a little bit of their story. Each one of them serves a purpose. They're never there just to be there. You could actually tell why they're there with you. It's not just because, you picked up, for example, just an example. I don't want to spoil who your companions are, but let's say you find a barbarian, or a native of this island, right? It's not just he's there because you saved his life. No, he has a purpose there with you. He's trying to accomplish something besides just helping you, right? He is trying to do something and not just follow you around. He also has a purpose in the game per se. So that's really nice. The campaigns, you have your typical RPG elements, so your clothes, different levels of it. You get better. You can also customize your companions. The class system that it has, it starts you off with your standard magic, sword, maybe the guns, your classic. But you have a skill tree that allows you to break apart from that. Maybe you wanted to be a melee character, but you want to do magic at the same time. Go fucking ahead. The tree gives you that option of breaking outside of the class and having really fun combinations. You want to do magic and guns? Fucking hell, go for it, man. You have that possibility, and it's really fucking good. The crafting system, very good. A lot of material you could get. There was never a point where I was like, God damn it, this I really need I really need to find this really rare resource, and it's halfway across the fucking island, and it's more of a chore than actually wanting to do it. It never felt like that. I always felt like, okay, I'm gonna go get it, and there's probably a side mission. I have a side mission globalized. I'll go do that at the same time. Two stones with one bird. Yeah, big brain time right there, guys. Two stones with one bird. Definitely, that's how it goes. But yeah, it's really unique. The one thing I do have a little bit of criticism for, is certain the crafting system. I think that's the weakest part. I did praise it just now, but it does have its issues. We'll get into that later on. But definitely, it does feel like a nice, smooth RPG. It does have some issues, some spelling errors here and there. It does have some very traditional RPG mechanics you would find in any other RPG, but it's done very well. Now, this is a AA game, but it honestly feels like a AAA game. It fucking honestly feels like it, and it's super fucking good. It's really good, guys. But now let's get into the issues where I don't want to talk about them because they're very nitpicky. But we have to talk about it. We always got to talk about it. So let's start with the why. Well, the problem it has, it's the problems. What do I mean by that? Let's start out with the most, like, the mechanic that I feel you're gonna notice right off the bat, and it's the stealth options. I did talk about that. You have many ways of handling stealth in this game. And the problem with it is that it's way too simplistic and feels a little bit broken. Now, this could be a double-edged sword here. One, because if you're with companions, they will not see companions, right? They will not see them. The AI, the enemy AI, or whatever you're trying to do stealthily, the AI will not see your companions. Like, they will not. I think they are invisible to your companions. At the same time, it kind of gets rid of the RPG element, right? The immersion that you're in, because you're literally, they could be right in front of them. They could be pushing them against the wall, literally just walking through them or pushing them to the side. And, they just wouldn't notice. They'll be like, oh, wow, look, there's a man right here crouched right in between the fucking hall, and I will not do anything about it. This is completely normal. So you do have that option right there, and that kind of, you have that option there of where, like, you're asking yourself, why was this allowed, right? But there could be some other people who actually enjoy this, who are like, yeah, AI are fucking idiots, and I wish this mechanic, would exist. There's some people who actually like that. There's some games that people have asked developers to make your AIs invisible to you, your companions, invisible to the AI, because they get in the way and they're not the best. Completely agree with it. So this is, like, again, it could be you like it or you don't. That's one issue with the stealth. The other one is that's very simple. You could poke your head out of a crate just a centimeter, just 1 pixel, and the enemy will start to notice you. And the way the stealth system works in this game is that they will have an eye above their heads, right? Yellow means that they notice you. Red is that they're becoming more noticeable to you. And once it reaches full red, they notice you and it's full combat after that. But the problem with that is that it's very finicky. Sometimes you'll do something that you believe is very obvious, but they won't see shit. They will not see that shit, Other times, you will do something that looks very stealthily, yet they will start to notice you, and you're like, the fuck's going on here? And that's the problem. Now, there is a way to bypass this inside this game, which is the disguise. It does have a disguise system, which also works with stealth. So you could kind of say you don't have to actually be stealth. You could just wear their armor or whatever, be a disguise. That's it, right? And that could work, right? That could be definitely a solution. But it has that problem. It's still there. It is still a broken mechanic, and you will notice it because there are some missions that are stealth oriented that you cannot, going guns blazing, knives blazing, whatever, magic blazing, and you're kind of stuck there like, damn, this is broken as fuck. So there is that issue. Another issue is that it's a very standard RPG. Well, yes, it does feel unique in certain aspects. At the end of the day, it's an RPG with guns, right? So do not expect a system, an RPG system that will just break your fucking mind, that your mind will just shatter on impact, right? It does not have that. You will notice it. It's very typical. But, there's enough combinations of it that you will probably get away with it. You will not notice its simplicity in certain aspects. There is that. Another one is, for me especially, because I was not playing on the normal difficulty, I was playing on a higher difficulty. I do not know if it's exclusive for this, but they have an issue of the traits of your skill points. So there's the skill tree, which is basically, overall your accuracy, your damage that you do. There's your attributes one, which is, another tree. Vigor, armor, balance, all that. And then there's the last tree, which I fucking forgot, guys. I'm so sorry. Which is basically like your core skills. So charisma, crafting, science, observation, agility, etc., etc., etc. So there is a problem with crafting. It's there, but you need a point in science. Like, for even the simple health potions, you need this. So it limits you a lot. And the game even tells you, Be careful what you level up because you might need to learn later on. You might need a point. You have to be very careful how you use it, etc. The good thing is that you can respec very easily. It's not too difficult. But the problem is early on, I do recommend getting a point in science so you can craft because it's essential, or else you're gonna have a whole bunch of resources and it's just garbage right there. You're not gonna be able to do things. Dialogue options. There is another one. If you play as a female version of the main character, there are some dialogue options that they will still use he, right? So it'll get you off guard, especially in the romance scenes where you're romancing a character and you're obviously a female. You want some lesbian action, fucking hell yeah, right? And your companion will call you a he, and that kind of just like, wait, what the fuck, I'm a woman. So there is that issue, not a big deal, but there is obviously somebody forgot to do some coding. I do not there's that. They could have fixed, I think they did fix it in certain situations, but I did find like 2 where they didn't fix it, so there is that. Just be careful with that. Not a big problem, but you'll notice it for some dialogue options. Overall, it does have some other problems where I feel the combat gets a little bit too, not intense, but it throws a lot of shit at you very fast early on, and you're just kind of there like, god damn it. But and there is that. Can't do much. I think it was good. Some people might hate it. Overall, it had some issues, but not the biggest in the world. This game does get a solid 6 out of 7. Remember, it's a double A game, though it does feel like a triple A game. But overall, it really deserves this 6 out of 7. The issues I had with it were very minimum. The stealth was probably the biggest fault it had. But overall, it's a very nice game. I really recommend it if you like The Witcher, if you like, Mass Effect, that RPG element that it has to it. I really recommend you play this game. It's just a phenomenal game. And I think it got forgotten very quickly because of certain things. But, that's besides the point. That is really just besides the point. I highly recommend you guys do give this game a try. It's on Game Pass. You could download it for free. Give it a try. You'll definitely get hooked on it, and you'll definitely love it. I guarantee it. I fucking guarantee it.
The Lord Luminous